Roy, at the beginning of our chat, you mentioned that you are a quarterback. And I think in one of our conversations, you once said to me that when you think of your strategic theme, you think about what you're going to do before the game. And when you think about your arranger theme, it's what you're doing when you're quarterbacking during the game, as if a maestro was running an orchestra. Can you talk to us more about that, about how your thought process works with your company, with your nonprofit, and in your leadership?
You know, one of the things I learned being a quarterback, and also I played safety. And back in those days, you played both defense and offense. And by the way, I might add to all entrepreneurs and leaders, you need to know both defense and offense. And you need to understand the power of the defense, by the way, which we'll get into maybe. But I would say, again, I got lucky in life because of where I grew up and my parents and my sisters and my coaches. I think part of the thing with strengths is that before you want to go into a situation, and you all know this, or a battle or a pitch or whatever it might be, you want to think about, and I'll say it in this way, as a strategic person, you want to think about not the 20 things you need to accomplish, but the one thing. Now, I know because discipline's my weakest thing, I don't have the capacity I can't even do a to-do list, because when I write the first thing to do, I go do it. So I never get down to the top 10. But anyway, as a strategic person, I think you've got to think about all the things that you need to accomplish, whether it's a campaign or a pitch or whatever you're doing. What is the one thing as a quarterback I got to do in that game? And you study the film. By the way, I'm a huge practitioner of the art of war. It's not Sun Tzu, by the way. His name is pronounced Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War 3,000 years ago. And people don't understand that the art of war was written to never have to fight. That you're so positioned strongly that you win before you fight. And I started studying the art of war when I was young, about how do you get that one thing so strong that you've already won before you even get on the field? Well, then once you get on the field, the world changes. That's when the arranger comes in. You have to adapt. You've got to bring people together. And I would say I learned that mainly through Herb Kelleher. Those of you who don't know, he founded Southwest Airlines. And he hired me when I was 28 years old. And we've been doing Southwest for 40 some odd years. I know they've had some problems recently, but they'll get through it. But Herb would always say, now, Roy, when you get into the real business world, you got to make sure that you give thanks mostly to the doers. That's why we would go out and hug the baggage claim people. I mean, he was undercover before even people knew what he was. He understood his flight attendants, his pilots, his mechanics, his baggage handlers, everyone are more important than the big shots at the office. And so as a quarterback, you hug your tackles and guards and your centers, and you don't give any credit to your running backs or your receivers. They're going to get enough. You hear what I'm saying? They're going to get the credit anyway. Give the credit who allows me to throw the pass or run. So that's a long way of saying, think about as a strategy person, you got to think of all the things, but then you got to think about the one thing. What do you have to own? And then once you get in the game, you got to realize you got to be adaptable, but you also got to make sure the people who are protecting you are the ones who get the hugs.